So, good morning, everyone. Morning. Are you sure you're awake? Pretty sure? Do you know where you are? Okay, I hope you're not still hungover from yesterday's party. Okay, so we'll get started with this wonderful morning, and we're going to get started with Sangeeta and Kavita from PTC. They'll be talking about how good is your API documentation. All right, so please give them a round of applause. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm audible? Yes. So thank you everybody for coming for this session. And I'm Kavita. I'm the Director for Technical Writing at PTC. I have over 18 years of experience in the domain of technical writing, out of which I've spent 14 years with PTC and over 10 years working on API documentation. And I have with me my teammate Sangeeta. Sangeeta has over 10 years of experience in technical writing, and she's a senior lead tech writer at PTC, and she has over 5 years of writing for the API domain. So what we are going to share today with you are our experiences that we've had over the years, when we've been creating API documentation. So these are some of the experiences, documentation techniques that we thought are useful for customers, that have been appreciated by customers. And yes, it's a journey of continuous improvement, and we are learning along the way. One thing that we've worked extensively in the CAD domain. So if you know computer aided design and product life cycle management, that's the core business area of our company. So a lot of the examples that we will talk about will relate to that area, but nevertheless the documentation techniques, some principles will hold true no matter what domain you write for. Also, depending on the complexity of your domain, you may choose to adopt some components, you may choose not to. So depending on your business requirement, you can think of customizing the documentation requirements for your APIs. And this session is going to focus mainly on the documentation aspect of APIs. We are not going to go into programming details. Like, we are not going to go and discuss how do you program in Java or how do you program in C or C++. We are not going to talk about that. We are not going to talk about how do you call functions, what do you do, or this is not about best practices in programming or in coding, because many a times we realize that, these kind of things overlap. You start with the documentation, but then you end up discussing more about APIs. So if you want to understand about how do you use an API toolkit, or how do I program, or what does it mean, we are available throughout the day. You can sync up with us at any time. And we would love to answer all your queries. So in the interest of time, what we would do is, as we go along, if you all have some questions, we will discuss. Otherwise, you can park them and we can take them all up at the end. Okay, so thank you. So let me see what we'll be discussing today. First, we are going to talk about why API documentation. That is the most important aspect that we are going to cover today. Every time when we talk about help, the first thing people think about is online help or a PDF that is related to a product UI. In many places, like for PTC, we have a large suite of CAD CAM products, and we have the UI components as well as the API components, and we support multiple language bindings. So we have C, C++, Java, JavaScript, VB. But somewhere when you talk about improvements, investing in tools, the UI documentation takes focus. So the API documentation sort of gets a step brotherly treatment. But if you see, customers use APIs a lot to customize their application according to their business requirement. So API documentation is a very important aspect of your documentation deliverable suite. So we are going to see why API documentation is important. We are going to talk very briefly 2 lines of definition of how do you define an API. You search the net or you Google, you'll find a lot of information about what do you mean by APIs. But the what part, I'm going to show you some examples and benefits of using APIs that will drive home the point why you need to invest in good API documentation. And the third part that we'll look at is how. Having seen why it is important, what do we mean by APIs, and we understand that, we are going to go about how do you create API documentation, how can you add value? Basically, that's the point. It's not about, I create an online help or I create a PDF. It's about how do you go about adding value to your customers. Then the next thing that we would like to do is, as I said, it's a journey. Going from good to better to excellent to perfection is a journey. It's continuous improvement. So we're going to share how we've been going about doing these things. So that is something that I'm going to talk about, continuous improvement. And at the end of it, we'll share some customer feedback, some testimony that we received because we, took on improving and some initiatives that we did. So why API documentation? Let's look at some real life scenarios. As I said at PTC, we have, by the technical writing standards or the industry standards, PTC has been around for more than 25 years in Pune, and we've been for more than 30-35 years in the US. So we have a very strong established documentation team, very well established documentation processes, guidelines in place, you name it, and we have it. A lot of you must be using the Arbortext editor also, which is one of our tools. PTC owns that. So in that sense, we have a very strong base. But yet we realize that you're never perfect. So there is scope for improvement, or there are areas where you could call they're the chinks in your armor, where you think that you're giving good documentation to your customers. Probably there's something else that they need. So the first thing that we said is, we have good API documentation which is appreciated by customers, but let's go and find out what are the pain points that customers face when they use our APIs. So we had a large manufacturing giant. Now most of our customers, if you see, will be really big enterprise customers or manufacturing giants, because we are in the CAD/CAM industry. So we have got really global leaders who are our customers. So they wanted to adopt one of our API toolkit suites. So that API SDK has over 2,000 to 2,500 APIs. And the domain, being CAD, is very complex. It's not something like, you write a normal macro for Word, or you look at some app in the net and you pick up the APIs and you customize it. It's not that easy. The domain is very complex. So you need to understand the domain. And the most important is, when you give a customer such a huge API toolkit with a complex domain, they really don't know where to start, how to go about adopting that API set so that they can customize it for their business requirements in the optimum way. And because that's a global manufacturing giant, they have subunits working on different areas of the business domain. So one customization that they may do in their factory 1 or in their organization 1 may not work in organization 2. So each organization, sub-organizations within the manufacturing giant has different business requirements. So they needed to adopt those APIs and customize it accordingly. The second challenge was, we had an enterprise customer who was on release 1 of our product. Now enterprise customers are huge setups. When they adopt a particular product, they invest a lot of time and money in building those customizations. And once they use those, they are set for at least 2 to 3 years. They will not upgrade their product every 3 months, because any kind of upgrade or change means downtime for them and business productivity loss. So they will work on that release for at least 2 to 3 years. But what happens in the meantime, you have released release 2, release 3, release 4. So after 3 years, when the customer, enterprise customer says, I am going to upgrade, you tell him, I have release 4. Okay, for that customer, all his customizations work on release 1. So his question is, what were the changes that you made between 1 to 4? Are the changes to the API such that will they break my existing applications? For example, I use a set of APIs to write a program. I compile that, I build an application. If in release 2 or 3 you change something related to that API, you say change the prototype, you change the signature, you did something in that API which will now cause his existing customizations to break, that means that is going to cause a lot of productivity loss for him. So his question is, when I move from 1 to 4, can I seamlessly integrate to the latest release? I have no idea what is the impact because of all the changes that you made in between. So from a documentation perspective, what do you tell him? You know what, take here release 1. Here this is the doc set for release 2. This is the doc set for release 3 and this is the doc set for release 4. Go figure out. So think of it, he's got a varied mess in front of him and now he needs to understand what is the impact of the changes that you've made all through these years, and he needs to have his engineers to redo all his customizations. And the third and the most important thing is, many a times we think only about our customers, but not being able to adopt or not being able to upgrade has a major impact not only on our customers but even their customers. For example, consider an end equipment manager, an OEM manufacturer of an automobile industry. He probably manufactures parts or he manufactures components for different global automotive companies. So he has customized his application, say for a Toyota. He's customized his application to give certain design requirements for a BMW. He's customized his applications to give certain design requirements for, say, a Ford. Now, if he has a delay in adopting the latest functionality, what happens? It in turn delays his delivery for the Toyota or for BMW or for Ford. That results in a delay all across the chain, downtime for them. That means it increases their time to market their designs or time to manufacture their designs. It results in increased cost not only for the customers but also for us as a company, because every time they raise a tech support call or they raise a support call, we have to invest a lot of money in resolving that, and of course reduce quality. So these were the challenges that we realized when we had this dialogue with our account team and our customers, and we said, let's see if some of these components can be resolved or improved through better API documentation. Can we take care of some of these pain points through good documentation? So as I said, we'll just have a brief two-liner about what do we mean by APIs. You'll get this definition. You Google set of well-defined programming instructions for applications to interact with each other, and it can communicate between software to software or software and hardware. So you can use your APIs to write programs that can run automatically with your, it's like an automation within your application, or you can access data from your database. You can do a lot of things with APIs. So to give you an example, okay, let's consider you're a chassis designer and you design chassis for different manufacturers. So your chassis has an array of holes that you need to create. So I'll show you, if you're working with the UI, how do you create. So your engineer needs to, I think you just need to start that again because it didn't show for the beginning. Let it start that. Okay, yeah. So you need to first create the first type of hole that you want, then you select a pattern, you select the dimensions, and you will have to then say, I need an array of 3 by 4 or 4 by 4, or depending on your requirement, you need to select that, and then you need to say okay, and then it gets created. So if you see on the UI, you will at least have 5 to 6 clicks to do this. Imagine if you're a chassis designer and you pick up contracts from different customers. So every time you need a new design, your design engineers will need to go and repeat these 5 to 6 clicks for the same task. So that means that is not a very efficient way to do it. So what if I have an API? What if I can program my application such that I have an API that will create the hole? What are the input parameters that it will take? It will take the hole type, the depth of the hole, and those kind of details. Then the next API will ask me what is the pattern that I need, what are the number of rows, number of columns, and the distance between the holes, and You just create a new button on your UI, and every time your designer wants to create an array of holes, he just clicks that button. All he provides are these details, and bingo, in a one click, his entire design is created. So that is the benefit of using APIs. So if you go to customers, when we sell products out of the box, nobody really uses them out of the box. Nobody sits doing the click, open, close. They need more efficiency and more productivity. So they customize a lot. The next example that I'll give you is of a smart design checker. Again, you have a design engineer who is creating design of, say, this mouse or this pointer that I'm having. So if you see, it's an assembly of different parts. The body, these buttons that are there, and the back, the cover, that is case that is there, and the electronic components. So as a company selling this Logitech, I have certain design guidelines that need to be followed in my organization. So every time, imagine I'm the manager and I tell my designer to design it, he does the design. I need to check if he's used the right system of units, whether he's followed the correct design principles, whether there is an interference between any of these parts. So imagine if I had the capability of using the APIs. What do the APIs do? They get information, they set information, they help you create, you can delete, you can do so many things. What if I had a set of APIs that would run through my design, get all the parameters that my designer has used? I have a set of pre-designed, defined parameters that he needs to follow. I compare them. Wherever I get a match, that means the design is correct. Wherever it fails, I know that there's a design flaw. So that is such an efficient way of doing a design check. So this kind of customization you can do, which your UI will not provide. So as I said, benefits. So these are some examples, and these are the benefits of using APIs. Expanding capabilities, as I said, the smart design checker. This is something that your UI does not provide. Using APIs, I can expand the capability of my product. I can customize it. I can customize the application for each design engineer according to the role or according to what he is working on. So I can customize the product according to my business requirement. Automation, we saw the automation of creating an array of holes. Batch mode or asynchronous process. Batch mode processes everybody is familiar with, your virus scan, right? Every day nobody comes to office and opens the virus scan and says scan. That happens at a predefined time automatically. Similarly, you can use APIs to do certain functions in a batch mode without any user interaction. It will start the application if and only if it wants the user to provide any input. And the most important thing is revolutionize products. The next paradigm shift that is happening in the world of technology is IoT, that is Internet of Things, and smart connected products, where it is expected that all the devices are going to be connected to each other and connected to each other through the internet. So how will data exchange happen between devices, between apps that are stored in the cloud and the device? A lot of this communication is going to happen using APIs. So APIs are going to play a very important role in the next level of technology. That is why understanding API documentation and having good API documentation is going to be a major requirement in the coming years. So now that I've spoken about why we've understood why API documentation is important, Sangeeta will walk us through how we create API documentation.
Hello, yeah, I'm audible? Yeah, hello everyone. I'll be walking you through the different types of documents that can be created for API set and also the different ways we can publish those. Depending on your company's business requirements, you can have one combination or all of these document sets. We'll be looking at all of them in detail. The first documentation type is created using developer tools. You have the user guide created by technical writers, and you also have sample applications. So let us look at the first way, that is automatically generating API documentation using developer tools. How does this work? This documentation is extracted from code files that are maintained and created and maintained by developers. There are tools available in the market that parse through the code files, extract information and automatically generate the API document. How the developers add the description for the function prototypes, parameters, the return types in their code files. They add these as comments. The tools that are available run through these code files, extract these comments and would give an output. The output format depends on the type of tool. You could have a PDF format, you could have an HTML format. Depending on your requirement, you can configure this kind of documentation. You can also have homegrown tools to customize the output. At PTC, we have our own scripts which extract this information and create an output for us. The main feature of this document is it's a reference document. It has got very limited information and limited and concise information. Let's look at the next format, that is the user's guide created by technical writers. How is this different from the guide that is created using tools? The main feature of this guide is it is a well-defined, elaborate guide which has all the information related to the APIs. The main features of this kind of document is it always has an introduction to the domain. The guide will have class and interface hierarchy. It will define all the data types that are supported by the API. We always have a getting started section. This will help you set up your toolkit, and it will also help you create small sample applications. Depending on your company's business needs, you could have a section, an entire chapter, or a book dedicated to a getting started guide. Conceptual information. This is the main feature of the guide created by technical writers. Apart from giving the basic description of the APIs, we also provide a lot of conceptual information. For example, if I'm a Java programmer, and I'm not a CAD expert. So in this case, if I need to refer to any additional information, the developer guide will not give me any help. The user guide would have all the details, the basic concepts in brief, not complete, in brief, which will help the user understand. We'll continue with the whole example that Kavita had given us. Now, supposingly the developer wants to know the different types of holes that he can create using the API. Going to the developer guide will not give him any information, but the user guide would list the different types of holes that he can create with a brief information, so that he understands which is the correct type of hole to pick. Another key feature of our user guide is the workflow. That is the sequence of steps that you need to follow to accomplish certain tasks. In some cases, you need to call certain basic APIs before you call an advanced API. So the listing, the order in which you need to call is also defined in the user's guide. To sum it up, this is a one-stop for a programmer. He can come here, get all the basic information and decide how he wants to use the APIs. Now that we have created our document, let us look at how sample applications work. What is a sample application? These are basically code snippets, that is ready to use code. Programmers can directly use this code, compile them and run them to see the output. This helps them understand the functionality behind the API and also helps them understand how to use an API. Now, a point that we would like to mention here is, it is not required that the technical writers write the sample codes that travel with your help. A lot of time we get to hear that technical writers are responsible for the sample codes, but we recommend working closely with your product development team to come up with good sample applications. We all agree that the document written by developers does not meet technical writing standards. So in the same way, the sample code that we would create is not up to the standards, that quality standard that according to the coding domain. So it is always a good idea to closely work with your development team and create good sample applications. Sample applications usually travel separately with the help. We recommend not adding the entire sample application in your guide because it becomes a maintenance overhead. Every time the developer changes the sample application, your user guide would be out of sync. So good documentation practice would be just giving the reference where this help would be available. Now that we have seen how to create API documentation, we will look at the formats in which we can publish them. The most common format in which API documentation is published is the PDF format. All of us know how to create PDF formats from our source files, so I will not be talking too much about it. You can also have online HTML help posted on websites. What we are going to specify today is on customized help. You can create help according to your requirements using homegrown tools. At PTC, we have a help which we have created using our own scripts, which ships with our suite of API products. The main feature of this help is it combines all the three types of help that we have seen, that is the code files, user's guide and sample application. We would like to discuss this help in detail. Now the input to our scripts are header files or code files that are submitted by developers. We have sample application files that are again submitted by developers and user's guide that is submitted by technical writers. The script will pass through all these files and automatically create an HTML file. What the script also does is identify the APIs and create interconnected links between them. So in the output, if I search for an API and open a function page, we would also have links to the user's guide and sample application in the same page. So depending on the user's need, the user can navigate across any document or any documentation set he or she wants. Yeah? Those are our homegrown scripts. We have created the scripts at PTC.
No, there are no scripts available in public domain for the simple reason that depending on the language binding that you're using, your script needs to either pass the H file if it's C, if it's Java or JavaScript, you have IDL files. So the script passes through them and we have an H to HTML converter or an IDL to XML to HTML converter. So that picks up those details. So that is something you will need to develop in-house. Or you could, if you can have some means of getting those into an HTML format or say a data format, then you could have a user's guide source in data and then you could use the Abotex DMP conversions or something to create those links. But how you maintain that is something that you will need to do in-house because this is very customized. It's very difficult for anybody else to create a tool that will parse your files because those files are completely proprietary. You cannot open them up in the market. Pardon? Okay, I think she's showing us 5 minutes, so let's finish this and we'll talk about it.
So in spite of providing this customized help to the customers, we found that we still had some room for improvement. So Kavita will walk us through the various improvements that we have taken up with our API suite of documentation.
Thank you, Sangeeta. So as that we had, the one that was linked is very popular with our customers. We have a lot of good feedback because they say that you get the reference information as well as the details within a single kind of help. But after the brainstorming session that we had with our account team and the requirements that we had, we started looking at other areas where we can improve. So the first thing that we did was we started collaborating with the development team So that the auto-generated help that we saw, the very first component, we started looking at how we can improve that. So we started collaborating with dev and we started reviewing all the comments that they added to that code files. We noticed many a times that the language that developers use is not grammatically correct, or sometimes they really don't know how to write what they mean. Many a times they copy the function prototypes in the same header, they change the function prototype, the input parameters, they forget about the description. So in the end, in the help, you have 2 or 3 APIs that have the same description or the same information, and nobody catches that till it doesn't come back as a bug. So we said no, we need to stop that. So we put a very important quality process that nothing ships without us being a part of the approval process. Then we also started reviewing the comments that they add to the sample files. We collaborate with them to create the sample applications, and as an added step, we also run and test those sample applications. So as a user, you go back and say, I didn't understand, I couldn't do this, so can you help me? That helps them also fine tune the information that they have in the sample applications. The next step that we took was something called as an upgrade advisor. These are some kind of guidelines that you place within your organization. Is when you want to help a customer upgrade from release 1 to release 2 or 4, you need to ensure that certain points in your API SDK don't break. So we worked with our development team, product management team to ensure that there are guidelines in place for what kind of updates are allowed and what kind of updates aren't. So that means if you have shipped a particular API, you cannot change its prototype in between in release 2. If you feel the need that that API has to be enhanced, you can always deprecate that and release a new API. So you go to the customer and tell him, you know what, this API is deprecated. That means going forward we will not entertain support calls on that, but we have an alternate API. If you choose to, you can use that in your programs and we'll support you. If you don't choose, your existing applications will continue to work, they will not break. Only thing is that the API status is deprecated, support is not there. So these kind of guidelines we put in place, what kind of changes were acceptable and what aren't. And for the benefit of the users, we started creating or collating information on summary of changes, release over release. It was like a database. So when a customer needed to move, all he had to do is go into that database and check with his API and see, it gives him a whole list of what may have changed for that API over releases. And another effective way is work closely on the knowledge base articles that your company publishes, work closely with tech support on that. So that would mean that the customer has the information regarding the change even before he raises a technical support ticket. And proactive help, if you all heard the keynote address yesterday, Mr. Sammy from Unisys also mentioned that proactive help is going to be a big thing, in the coming days. So that is the next step where we are moving. We are still working on that. The idea is, many times, as I said, you give me an SDK with so many APIs, I really don't know how to start. The sample application looks good because that was done by my in-house programmer. How do I create something like that? So I have an interactive wizard that helps me do what I want on the client. The minute I say save code or generate code, it generates code for my application. So now with that as a template or with that as an actual code, I can actually continue with my programming, creating my own customizations. So we are exploring the opportunity of creating interactive help. We also ship a lot of templates to help customers to move from one release to the other or to use that particular release effectively. So before I conclude, I would like to share a small story with you all. This is about a story about a boy who wanted to learn to swim. So that boy did not know how to swim, so he went to his parents and told them, I want to learn to swim. So the parents enrolled him in a swimming class. And the first 1 week he learned the basics and he started swimming, and he could actually float on the water without any help. So his parents clapped for him and cheered him and he was very happy. But the boy thought, I could still do better. So he trained for a couple of more weeks and he could now swim across the length of the pool. So now the praise was even bigger. His parents were very happy and his coach clapped for him. So then he said, no, I can do even better. So he started taking part in, races. And then came the day when he won his first medal. So, it was a great day of joy. Everybody clapped. But the boy said, yes, I can do even better. So he took part in an ocean race. And, that was now not in the pool, but a few kilometers. So when he did that, there was a lot of, praise and appreciation. And then this boy stood on the beach, looking at that ocean, looking at the horizon, and thought to himself, what are the limits that I can reach? Have I achieved them? Yes. Have I yet achieved them? So, what I want to say is, friends, we are all like that little boy. We all have skill sets. We are all good at doing different things. But the point is, have we achieved our best? Is there something more that we can do? And that is what takes us on this journey of continuous improvement, where we move from good products or good documentation to excellent documentation to perfect initiatives that we took in a smooth upgrade, and they wanted this for other products. So that's what we had to share with you all today. Thank you so much for your time.